good reps get poached. Good reps are always in high demand. And if you're willing to sacrifice for those initial 3 to 6 months and prove that you actually have what it takes, like you'll never have a shortage of work. Like you'll always be able to find jobs and you'll even turn them down. So you went from September completely new to high ticket. By November, you had a 6K month, and then by December, just under a $9,000 month.
He doesn't teach you just how to do sales, but how to navigate sales. Not just how to get on a call, how to get on an interview, what to say to people, how to interview. If you're also looking for a place to not do it by yourself, this is the place to do it. I set all my calls. I don't have any calls booked on my calendar. I got to call all the financially DQ'd people from the pipeline, hopefully find some money from them, find some need to change, want to change, get them on my calendar, and then close them. No one to help with follow-ups, no one to help with setting calls, no one to help with texting, nothing.
Full stack, baby. It took her flying down all the way to Colombia to finally sit down with me for an interview. I am here with the one and only Ivelin. Some of you guys might have seen her in my stories and on my Instagram. And we're going to talk about how she came into the industry with no high ticket sales experience and completely demolished, ran laps around other reps. And because she worked her ass off, she experienced a deep sense of burnout. And I think a lot of women go through that, just don't talk about it. So we're going to talk about that as well. And then now that she's on the other side of it, what doors have now opened up for her. So without further ado, Ivelin, got a 30-second intro for us?
Awesome. Hi guys. Again, my name is Ivelin, based out of Miami. So I own a nationwide notary agency that specializes in real estate closings that operates independently of me. I actually got into sales for the fun of it. But
She's not joking, by the way.
but also to just pay off debt faster. I had a lot of time on my hands. And I joined the high ticket space, I would say, in September. And I remember my first closing September 28th. It was the first day I got on calls, closed my first call, and now I'm here.
You're writing a book now. So let's take it from the beginning. Well, I guess everyone wants to know the numbers. So let's start with the numbers. You came in brand new in September, and then was it November that you had your biggest month?
I would say December I had my biggest amount.
What did you do in November?
November commissions, I think it was around
6K, and then December was
like 9.
almost
9.
almost 9, almost 10K.
Yeah.
Don't let me put words in your mouth.
No, like almost 9. Maybe it's almost 9.
Okay,
almost
cool.
9.
So you went from September completely new to high ticket. By November, you had a 6K month, and then by December, just under a $9,000 month.
Mm-hmm.
And which, like, we'll go into, like, Ivelin, like, if you look at her numbers, like, her skill set far outweighs like the revenue you produce because she's primarily sold lower ticket, which if anyone's sold lower or mid ticket, right, 3K programs or below, that is where you're dealing, I'm sure you'd agree, every single fucking objection in the book. And that will make you a very good rep. Before we go into that though, you came in swinging. Like I talk about, there is no shortage of offers in this industry, and you're proof of that, because how long was it before you like landed interviews?
From before my first offer, or
Yeah, like when you started actually interviewing, because I remember it, but I
had a lot of interviews actually backed up. I would say no to them just because I was so nervous.
Yeah.
But then until I found an offer that I really, really wanted to be on, I took the interview and then I got the job that I wanted.
But it took you, like, you signed up with me, and I think within 1 week you were interviewing.
Oh yes, I signed up with you like in September.
Yeah,
mid-September.
it was mid-September.
Yeah.
So by like within a week, I think I remember you had 4 interviews, and you're like, hey, I'm going with the real estate offer.
Yeah.
And then you started selling with them, and you started closing within a couple days.
Yes.
So you started as a setter.
Full stack closer.
Okay. Tell the people what that means.
So I set all my calls. I don't have any calls booked on my calendar. I got to call all the financially DQ'd people from the pipeline, hopefully find some money from them, find some need to change, want to change, get them on my calendar, and then close them. No one to help with follow-ups, no one to help with setting calls, no one to help with texting, nothing.
Full stack, baby. And what she left out is that they brought you on initially as a setter, right? And they had you start closing because you put up so many sets.
In my interview, it was just for setting.
Right.
And when they responded to me saying like, you got the job, they were like, can we just move you up?
Straight up from okay,
Correct.
cool. And you're setting the other closer the higher ticket, and then you're self-setting yourself, like, the mid-ticket.
That came after.
That came after. So it was just setting for yourself,
Yes.
the mid-ticket offer.
Mhm.
Cool. So you did that, and which was a $2,500 offer?
Actually, it's anywhere from 500 to 25. I could price it whatever I wanted.
Yeah.
The mid ticket was technically 1,025. We have a low ticket under 1,000. So I can technically gauge it from 1,000 to 25. And I kept hitting my numbers too high. My close rate was like 70 at times. And they were like, okay, instead of 1,000, you're going to make it now 1,500. And I was still at 70% or 75%. And then, they're like, okay, bump it up to 2,000. And then finally they're, still not budging. They're like, you're only going to make an offer now for 2,500. Never go less
Badass.
than that.
So for the newbies that don't understand, because I've been doing this for like 6 years, and I've sold on offers like that. And when you sell anything under $3,000, just the prospect you get, there's a lot more limiting beliefs. There's a lot more limited resources, right? They don't have money, so they're gonna give you every fucking objection. So to make $9,000, right, off of like a $1,500 sale, it means each sale is like what, $150 commission, maybe 200 because of like bonuses.
Don't want to lie. They do give me 20% because I'm setting all my calls and then bonuses after 10,000 cash collected.
Perfect. So even then, on a $1,500 deal, it's a $300 commission,
Yeah.
right? So like if you do the math, that is a ton of volume, which I think is why you've developed so quick. And for you guys that are like, watching, like your ability to self-set your own leads and keep your calendar full is what most reps like don't master or don't even want to do, which is why they don't make any real money. And that's why for Ivelin, she came in with like no high ticket experience. And within September, October, within 3 months was like 6K and then 9K, right? Like right under the glorified 10K month.
I know.
But like, how much did you work your ass off for it?
I worked. I'll say this. I could have hit the 10K, but I didn't get the bonus because technically they didn't sign their contract and we closed December 31st. But I worked the mat. I worked my butt off to get there.
And that's a perfect segue into what happened after. Was I think like a lot of reps, I know myself, we work our ass off to hit these big months. And sometimes we completely sacrifice everything else and go all in on work. And it's important. And I think like there's actually, it's kind of hard to not do that. What was your experience though? Like, and I think this is great for the females that watch, like you experienced burnout, right? Why do you think you did?
So I also think I experienced pre-burnout before I hit the burnout. And you caught me before I hit that first burnout. When I started off, I'll say this, I was excited. I did all the work possible. It was fun. I stacked my day.
Yeah.
But within 2 months, I lost 7 pounds of not eating. I mean, I looked good, but I wasn't feeling good. And I think that was the first time I had my midlife crisis with you. And you told me, what are you canceling on? Are you canceling on yourself, basically? So that took me away, pulled me back from getting burnt out. Then after December, kind of started canceling myself again, canceling on things again. Because I proved myself, my offer gave me more responsibilities, which I'm a team player. I'll say yes, as long as it improves the team, because if it improves the team, it improves the numbers, more money, more ad spending, more things we can do to just grow the team. And because I started taking on more roles that were technically revenue generating activities for myself, it didn't make sense, but also being on an offer where people are not closing and you're trying to help them out, there's no payout.
So like you were doing, because you were doing triage calls for the other closer.
Yeah, I was
And then-
calling them as well.
And then you would get commission, but that other closer wasn't closing shit.
Yeah, they
So you're
were
good?
some, but not enough.
They're closing what, 12%?
Can we not?
Oh, we can cut that out. We can cut that. So you're okay, rewind. So you're triaging for another closer, but you're getting commission off of what they closed. And if they didn't close, like all that work you did wasn't getting compensated. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. And so you put yourself through that a second time. And that's where like you really experienced burnout.
It was a fire that was burning that exploded.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
So I do this for fun. At the end of the day, it stopped being fun, and when it became feeling of I need to be here, that's when it all came crashing down. And until I realized it's like I lost that want to be here, that's where I was like, I
Mm.
cut everything. I turned in my 2 weeks like at 7 a.m. in the morning on a Monday.
Mm.
I was like, I have it. I don't need to be here. I don't need this. And but it affected every part of my life. I've never experienced burnout like that. I've been working since I was 15,
Mhm.
always wanting to work, even when I was in college. And I've never had a feeling of I don't want to work,
Mm.
even in my own business.
Mm.
And it was hard.
How'd you get out of it?
Drugs, not the not the fun kind, unfortunately. Um, but so I do have an autoimmune disorder that recovery in my body takes as much is slower than my mind. And I think it would also affect me getting better because I wasn't recovering as fast and then I would downward cycle.
Mm.
So I had to go back to my doctor and just finding ways first to get me back homeostasis with my own body. And then I could start feeling good about my own body. But it was a lot of IV therapy, peptides, NAD, medication, all the boring drugs.
Mm.
But I was able to bounce back within a week.
And then how did you go back to, like, selling? Because then you, like, set some boundaries with them, right?
Um, Truthfully,
Yeah, truthfully.
so a week after taking time off, I was like, I cannot go to cafes with closers, community retreat, and be the only person without a job running around doing nothing. So I said, you know what? Let me ease my way back in.
I can't go to the retreat without a job.
So let me go back.
Humility.
Um, and they kind of promised me everything I needed to ease back in, but that's when I forced myself back in.
Mm. But then I remember you, like, telling them, like, "Hey, these are hours I'm not gonna work, so you can actually work it around your personal time."
So
Or did you just lie to me when you said that?
well, that was pre-burnout too, where I was like, I don't they changed their sales meeting schedules for me.
Mhm.
They changed when I can work for me. The amount of one-on-ones we do. Like I was like, weekly one-on-ones, we're not doing that.
Right.
Let's change it to 2 weeks. Why are you talking to me if I had 70-80% close rate right now?
Right, right.
Uh,
Which, like, your team, you have so much leverage when you're a top producer to be like, "Hey, I want these mornings off so I can do my personal life," or, "I don't want team meetings on these days, I'll meet you
mhm,
here because I'm bringing you all this money already."
yeah.
But, like, reps get it twisted and they, like, entitled to that before they prove themselves.
Yeah. So the burnout, the real burnout coming back in, I just realized like I need to wet my feet again. And I set it to like 3 calls a day, booked, whether they show up or not,
Mhm.
because the anxiety of like, oh my God, I have 5 calls. I have to be here for 5 hours.
Yeah.
I wasn't ready for that yet.
Yeah, and I think that's, I appreciate you being real and honest because, like, we come into this for the lifestyle, or for you for fun, which is weird, but, like, for the lifestyle, for
This
the
is fun.
independence, and well, this has been epic, and we sacrifice, but then once we're there, sometimes we lose touch of why we started this,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then all of a sudden, it's just like we're working 12, 14-hour days, and we lose touch of, like, why, and that's when, like, burnout sets in because we feel like we're out of control. And we're like, "What are we doing it for?" And so now what doors have kinda opened up for you now that you're kind of on the other side of it?
Well, I was able to hop into some pipelines.
Mhm.
I'm getting emails for offers to apply
Yep.
here. They're looking here. Do you think be great here? I've had to decline some offers,
Mhm.
really
Mhm.
big offers that didn't align with what I wanted. I think that's something I really have to sit with. Like, do I really want to do this 12 hours a day,
Yeah.
10 hours a day? And that doesn't make me any less successful than people. That doesn't make me any less driven. I know what I want and I'm not going to
Mhm.
stand for anything less.
Good. And I think that's, like, a great reminder for reps is, like, good reps get poached. Good reps are always in high demand, And if you're willing to sacrifice for those initial 3 to 6 months and prove that you actually have what it takes, like you'll never have a shortage of work. Like you'll always be able to find jobs and you'll even turn them down.
Yeah.
So thank you for sharing. The last question for you is if there's someone like that is newer on in their journey, we don't always take on complete newbies. That is an exception with you. But if someone's like considering wanting to work with me, like what's something that you tell them?
If you watch Andres's videos and you align with what he's saying, not just what he can do for you, but why he does this, what he's trying to create, go with him. Because he doesn't always he doesn't always, but he doesn't teach you just how to do sales, but how to navigate sales. And what I mean by that is
Mm.
not just how to get it on call, but the interviewings, right? How to get on an interview, what to say to people, how to interview, where to find them. There's no guaranteed placement here. I wish. Anyway, but
You don't even need it, girl.
everything else. And if you're also looking for a place to not do it by yourself, this is the place to be.
Maybe you'll end up in Colombia for a month. Thank you, Ivelin, for coming on. See you guys in the next one.